Welcome back. I've just noticed that sheet 3, which has our tax and profits information on it, um, hasn't been renamed, so let's just rename that tax and profit sheet. So we've got that sorted out. Okay, what I want to do now is add a whole raft of new salespeople because I want to develop the idea of how we can use spreadsheets to basically get information from quite a lot of data. To do that, we're once again going to join all of the January, February, March and April sheets together. So click on January, hold shift down, click on April. We've grouped them. And having grouped them, we will add some rows. So click on 7, then right click on 7, make sure that row 7 has been completely added together. And then insert and insert and insert. Notice that as you insert, it adds rows above where you're inserting it to. So that's always useful to be aware of. It will always insert a row above the one that you've got highlighted. And if we run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, let's have a couple more. Okay. Having inserted those rows, let's add some people. So let's call them Hamid, Simon, Sue, Freya, Aoife, an Irish name, and Mark and David, we can have a Victor and let's see now. Oh, let's go a bit French and have a Francois. And last but not least, we'll have a Mary. There we go. Hopefully those are all copying through, so yes, that's working fine. And now we need to put some information in as to how much these people have all sold and make sure that we do all of the subtotaling and everything else. So if we say that Mohammed sold £200 worth and £400 worth and £350 worth, and let's just keep going. 100, 150, 400, 500, 340. And 250 and 120 and 230 and 430 and 50, 400. 200, 350, 450, 100, oops, it is 450 tab, 100. Remember to use tab and enter as you're doing this because it makes it an awful lot quicker. 600, 700, 300, 240, 560, 300, 400, 400, 500, and last but not least, Mary at 240, 370, and 195. Okay, if we examine the other sheets, we can see hopefully that throughout all of them we've now got all of those names and everything in. Let's leave them grouped for a minute, so they are still grouped together, and what we need to do is highlight that there, and let's do our auto sum again. And auto sum, and auto sum. Okay, I wonder how many of you noticed what happened there. If I switch to March, when I did the auto sum on this last cell here, instead of auto summing that column there, it auto summed these two and came up with that. And I wanted to highlight that and actually do it, because you've got to be careful when you're using AutoSum. Make sure it's adding up the things it's supposed to add up. In actual fact, it's supposed to do a sum of the entire D column. This has done a sum of the row, and that will often happen when you have a blank between the AutoSum and what it's auto-summing. So in that case, you've got to make sure that you do AutoSum and show it what it's going to be auto-summing, so that all of those should be right. Okay, a couple of other things that we've got to do. If we go to the dashboard here, we can see that our graph has changed and our details here have changed. If you change anything and it makes this number too big, you will get something that looks like that. If you need to, just make sure the column is wide enough. But watch out for hash marks. It just means that the cell contains something that is too big for the cell width. So just open the cell up a little bit and that will solve that problem for you. Okay, if we go back to January, we are going to either have to put in the conditional formatting for all of these new cells we've done, or alternatively, if you're very clever, you will click on one of them, click on Format Painter, remember we used that earlier, highlight them all, and it will automatically, because conditional formatting is formatting, automatically do it for you. So let's just do that throughout the bunch of them. It may be that you could join all of these together and do this as a joined on activity, but if you group them all together, see if that works. Format Painter and all the way down to there. Okay, so now we've added a huge bunch of people. We've got much more complexity in the spreadsheet. We're going to work on one very quick and final thing on this last sheet here. I would like you to rename that to staff hours, and there's going to be a very good reason for that. If we're going to identify how well our staff are performing, we need to know that, first of all, that they're all working the same hours. If you've got someone who looks like they're not selling much but they're working on less hours, then that's not very fair on them to criticise them for only selling 50 quid if they're only in for 10 minutes a week. So if we go here and we just copy and paste our staff into there and open that up a little bit, we can have our staff there, and we can put if we put some headings in here just to make it tidy, staff, I'll make that bold and possibly underline just because it's cute, and hours per week. How many hours per week are they working? And let's just open that up a little bit. Now our standard working week is 37.5 hours, and just drag that down there, and everyone's doing 37.5 hours except for Eva, who does a 20-hour part-time job, and David, who does 20-hour part-time job because he's working at home looking after his kids, or is at home most of the time looking after his kids, so a very modern father. And we will give Mohammed 30 hours because he's studying for his university degree and doesn't need quite as many hours as everybody else. He's just doing this as a job to earn a bit of cash on the side. And let's say let's make John do 30 hours a week. So we've created that, and make sure it's named, make sure you've got those details in there, and for the next video we'll use that data to create some reports.